Well, hey, y'all. Welcome to the When We Walk podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about the things we talk about when we take our walks.
Yep.
I'm Shireen.
I'm Micah.
Let's chat.
All right. So, I have upped my intensity level of our walks.
Yeah, you have. I didn't think you were going to make it.
Getting a weighted vest.
You did.
Yes. So
it's kind of a trend right now.
Yeah. So we've talked about this before in life, but even here on the podcast, that like we tried to do the hand weights for a while.
We did.
And
you
I'm
don't like
too
how
proud.
they look. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I won't do hand weights until I'm 60.
Not,
or when I'm out of town. I did them in Florida, but I won't do them in Omaha.
Because all the older people in Florida do it.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm too proud for hand weights right now. So the weighted vest is a much more covert way. So I read a more covert way to increase the intensity. I came across some article like in Men's Journal or something like that was talking about weighted vests or like rucking.
Of course, this is in the Men's Journal.
Of course, yeah. And what they said was it could as much as double your calorie burn.
Okay.
Like with 10 pounds of weighted carry. And so yesterday, because we've taken this walk so many times, I have like really consistent numbers on my phone for how many calories we burn when we walk.
Yeah.
And what my average heart rate is.
Okay.
So I was really excited to do this yesterday and see if it was true. And now I don't know how Apple Watch does calorie burn and all that stuff. I assume it just is like weight and heart rate or something like that. But turns out after our walk yesterday, I checked my metrics. Exactly the same.
Oh, no.
Exactly the same. So I do.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Maybe it takes time.
I mean, I definitely can feel the weight. I mean like it'll make me stronger over time.
But you said we were not even halfway into our walk and you were like, oh my gosh, I feel this.
Yeah, I could feel it for sure.
So there's got to be
I could feel like the muscle burn, but I think because my life is so sedentary, I was hoping for like a way to use the same amount of time but burn
just
more
increase.
calories. And I'm not sure it's actually burning more calories. I'm sure it'll make me stronger over time.
Sure it will.
But maybe you should try it.
Okay. Listen, I just had this thought thinking about, of course, this is in a men's health journal because women, especially if you're a mom, you've been walking around carrying your baby on your chest forever. So women are probably just as conditioned, ready, especially if you're in young mom phase.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Strap your baby on, go take a walk. You're going to burn some extra calories.
Pregnant women or
sure. Yes.
True. Yeah. That was like how it probably felt for you to be pregnant.
Maybe.
To some degree. I mean.
The extra weight, sure.
Yeah, just the extra weight.
That's funny.
Yep, it's great. So Christmas season.
Yep.
We're in it now.
Advent. I love it.
Arrived. Advent's great. Yeah, I've been doing a little research on it for my sermons because I didn't really grow up in a background where Advent was really a big thing. Did you?
Really? I mean, when we did go to church,
when you did,
very much remember the Advent wreath at the front of the Methodist church and them lighting it. I had no idea what any of it meant.
I think we did. I think we had the wreath and the candles too. I don't know that it.
They would say something, they would read something, they would light it, and then we'd do it all again the next week. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It's different. I don't know what it means.
So I guess I would say maybe it wasn't meaningful to me. And then when Jesus became more real and central to my life, by that point, Advent wasn't like in our
we weren't in a
college
stream where
like
it was
just wasn't a
more
thing.
liturgy or liturgical.
So doing a little research on it and going to be leading our church, leading Lifegate through this.
Yeah, and we're doing like Advent wreaths and kind of traditional.
We're doing Advent candles.
Candles, that's what I meant.
Yeah. And readings.
Well, it is a wreath with candles.
Oh, is it? I haven't seen it.
Yes.
What they're using. Okay. So 4 themes.
Yes.
Hope, peace, joy, and love are the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas morning.
And we kind of talked about hope in the waiting, which is basically what Advent is, right? You're waiting on, they were waiting on the Messiah, the arrival of the Messiah and finding hope. And so this week would be the theme of peace.
Yeah. Peace. Yeah. I think this is something, wouldn't you say, that everyone wants,
Oh,
whether
for
you
sure.
know Jesus or not?
in many contexts, right? In the world, like literal peace. But then I think internally we talk about it a lot. Like that's something everyone feels like they're striving for. We're a very anxious culture in general, right?
Yep.
We talk about it all the time. So we talk about our busyness, we talk about our anxiety, but it doesn't seem to be a movement towards peace, but we all seem to want it.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I think all 4 themes are like the hope, peace, joy, and love. Like those are things that every human wants.
Of course.
Right. And I think that might be one of the reasons why we lean so heavily into the Christmas season, whether you love Jesus or not, whether you're focusing on Jesus or not. I think we all love Christmas for the most part because those aspects of what Christmas brings to the surface and kind of brings to our consciousness, everybody wants those things.
I think so. I think that's what I think that's what we're even going for in this season, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to find the perfect gift that brings you joy or excitement, trying to find like peace in our lives by, I don't know, bringing in all the things, the comforts, right?
Yeah.
Now it's colder, so you want to snuggle up next to your fire and it feels peaceful and, so I don't know. And then the hope of, like, oh my gosh, the new year is coming. There's a lot of it that just naturally, I feel like,
kinda
happens
flows
at this time of year.
Yeah.
So it is something, I think, whether you're a believer or not, that stirs inside of you.
True.
But it's Jesus who actually brings it.
Yeah, in a lasting way, in a deep way. So I think so many people, we attempt to counterfeit or cultivate or kind of engineer in our own lives. I like that word because it's very man-made. I think we try to engineer in our lives the very things that Jesus came to bring as a gift. And peace, I think, is one of them. So you mentioned the fact that we're in a world right now that feels very peaceless.
Yes.
And not only from the own internal things that we experience, but conflict and hostility and division that exists in the world. And so I think we kind of want to engineer this thing that our hearts crave for, peace. And there's all kinds of like counterfeit versions of peace out there that can bring us a measure of calm, but I'm not sure they actually produce peace.
No.
Those aren't necessarily the same thing.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's almost more, does it bring comfort to something in us instead of actual deep, what we are probably our souls are crying out for is internal peace that really only comes from Jesus. You're right. So I think I think it's comforting maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what are some of those? You've read about some crazy things.
So a friend of mine texted me a while back, a few months ago, and was just like, "Hey, what do you know about Stoicism?"
Okay.
Which I thought was the most out of the blue text. And I was thinking like ancient, like, just the ancient Greek philosophy.
Okay.
And I don't know much about what it is, didn't know much about what it was. So I did this quick search, and what I discovered is like Stoicism is on the rise. Okay. It's this ancient Greek philosophy that really, began even around the time of Jesus, that has existed ever since. Marcus Aurelius is like their poster child. And a lot of like millennial men are chasing after this thing called Stoicism right now. There's a guy named Ryan Holiday who's writing about it. There's something called the Daily Stoic, which a lot of people will, I think it's like a daily devotional.
Oh my!
It totally is. Yeah, it's like 366 or 365. I think it's 366, which I don't know why, but 300. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure that's what I read. But it's these daily devotionals, and the tenets of Stoicism: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance or moderation. So it's interesting. It's this attempt to maintain a mental state of peace regardless of your circumstances, which when you think about the Bible that says that Jesus came to bring us a peace that surpasses understanding, a peace beyond circumstances. Isn't that interesting?
So what do you do? Like, what are these readings? It's just meditations?
It's readings, it's meditations. It's a mental state where you don't allow what you're experiencing in life to have an emotional hold on you.
So
good or bad, you just exist.
You are still in control. You are trying to gain your own mental control over.
Yep, absolutely.
Is all it is.
Yep. Yeah. So it's things like, remember that whatever happened to you today is not that big a deal in light of the whole universe.
So kind of just like mantras,
statements, quotes,
yourself. Okay.
Getting into a mental state in the morning, like envisioning. Interestingly enough, one of the things they talk about is actually, a lot of like mental,
kind of mindfulness
stuff is about like positive thoughts.
Right.
One of the things with Stoicism is think about what could go wrong today and mentally prepare yourself for it so that if it does, it doesn't ruin your day. It doesn't take you by surprise. So it's really interesting that this is like on the rise. And you're right. I think it's kind of like, if I can control my mental state, then I can have peace. I would say maybe you have calm, but I don't know that you have peace. And then I'm not even sure like that calm level. Yeah, and I'm not sure that level of detachment from what you're experiencing in life is actually
I don't think that's healthy.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know all the details of how they talk about, how do you still love well? How do you still engage the world around you? I don't know.
But it is just you focused.
It's you focused.
Right.
Which
is also not healthy just in and of itself.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe this is a generalization, but it seems to be real popular around like young, single, white, well-off men. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
I can see
I don't know that a lot of the Stoics have kids running around the house in the morning.
That would be hard.
But maybe they do. I don't know. But it is, I think the point is we attempt to manufacture what Jesus came to bring.
Yeah.
And
we still want that.
We still want that,
what he actually offers.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I've heard you say it's the kingdom without a king. Yeah. Right? You
Mark
want
Sayers said that. Yep.
all the things, the benefits of that kingdom.
Yeah.
But you don't want to surrender to someone who will bring it for you.
Yeah.
So it is still control.
It is. Yeah.
It's a level of control, even though maybe for that person, it feels like they're releasing something. I don't know where you're releasing in the universe.
Yeah.
What is I don't know. That is so, I'm sorry. That is so weird for me.
But there's also like on a less philosophical level, but same concept in an attempt to manufacture or engineer peace. It's just like the way people want to control their lives,
right?
Their schedules.
It's still control
around them, their diet, their exercise, their routines, and not that that's wrong to be disciplined and to be intentional, but sometimes at the root of that is actually such a drive for, if I can keep everything in order, then nothing will disturb my peace. And I actually believe what that creates long term, it might give you calm in the moment, in the day when everything goes right. But I actually think long term what it produces is increased anxiety.
I would
because
think
you're
so.
putting pressure on yourself.
On yourself. It's all on you to create your own peace. That is too much pressure for me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I think it is. Yeah. I mean, it sounds almost like Buddhism too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just trying to find this state.
Which is also very popular right now.
It is super popular,
releasing,
actually. Yeah.
Everything out into the universe and not holding on to anything.
Yep. So this isn't new. Obviously, it was. People have been searching after peace forever.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's great. But I think there are still other ways that we try to control and find peace that aren't necessarily something that feels that mystical, maybe, or spiritual without Jesus. I think you do it through just finding comforts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but this is also way more of a Western concept, right? Do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. So if you
don't think about people in African villages looking for peace in these ways.
Yeah.
Not in these ways.
That's true. I don't know. Probably. I think you're probably right. I think we. I don't know. Like I do think. So I'm an Enneagram 9.
Yeah.
which means I like peace.
Peace. You do.
And
Yeah.
I can sometimes just manufacture that or want to manufacture that or get really frustrated when I don't have it. So if it's more of a personality thing, I think we happen to live in a culture where personalities like mine really are driven towards how can I manufacture this and motivated towards this. But you're right. I definitely think comfort and ease.
I think
and calm.
we think that brings us a sense of peace.
We think those are peace.
Right.
Comfort, ease, calm. And so I do think that's much more Western.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So we all do it, right? We all try to manufacture our own peace at different times. We get overwhelmed, we get stressed, whatever. How do we actually engage the Prince of Peace
That's a great
and
question.
receive the peace that Jesus came to bring in this season?
That's a great question. Do you have an answer for that? Pastor over there?
I mean, I have like a few thoughts. I think one of the things that I started doing a few years ago was a prayer I read from John Eldridge, which is just, Jesus, I give you everything and everyone today. I don't say it every day, but in moments of stress or moments of anxiety, it's a great prayer to pray because different than like kind of Buddhist meditation or even Stoicism or even controlling my life and schedule, it's a release, but it's a release to a person.
Right.
It's trusting someone else whose name is Jesus, who is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, to either help me steward what, is beyond me or to take it for me. Does that make sense? And so,
Well, and because we actually are, like you said, releasing it to a person, I think that is the key difference of like, there is an anchored truth when you meditate on scripture or meditate or, say a prayer of release versus what it sounds like all these other practices do is it has become more about you and like what you have to do.
That's true. Yeah.
And there's no actual, I don't know that you actually are releasing anything. And then what are these statements that you're saying? What are they anchored in?
Yeah.
Whose truth is that? So I don't know that it is as freeing. I think a prayer of surrender, I think that is super freeing. I think that's why, you hear people when they first come to Jesus. I know I felt this too. It's like this, like pressure's off kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Like
that's so true.
I am not in control of my life. Praise God, because that is too much pressure for me, especially for me as an Enneagram 1.
Yep.
I like control anyway. And so for me to follow Jesus means it's not in my control. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It is his. This world is his. Like, it gives you a lens even for seeing the world. I think of all those other manufactured, ways people go after peace. How do you use that lens to see the world?
Yeah.
Because it's not doing it's just helping you. It's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, we serve the Prince of Peace who is here for the world, not just for me.
Yeah.
So it isn't just about me. Though I'm releasing and surrendering to him, I also am trusting that he is bringing peace in so many other ways beyond me.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it just takes the focus first off me for my own relinquishing of control, but second, because there's no way to manufacture peace in this world, and Jesus is the best answer.
Yeah, that's a great way to contrast kind of counterfeit peace. Is just surrendering to, it seems to be, it's almost like a surrendering to nothingness.
Yeah.
Surrendering to fate, what actually is that?
Right.
I don't know
There's
if that
no hope
actually
in that,
brings,
though.
that might
There's
bring
no
calm
hope.
in the moment, but it doesn't bring long-term peace because you're right, there's no hope in that. It's
Right.
like, well, what is fate? And
Right.
but the surrendering to a person who is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, who loves us,
Who we have
for us.
actual evidence of what he did on this earth, how he lived, what life with him actually looks like. We have that. Like, that brings so much more freedom out of this control and should at least give us a hope for peace.
Yeah.
Whether you feel it in the natural right away, or at least gives you hope that that is what I'm going for. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. So, yeah, I mean, understanding, I guess, then you could maybe summarize that by saying we find peace through relationship.
Yep.
And not through manufacturing or engineering a certain mental state. Though there are still practices
Absolutely.
involved,
I think so.
but the practices have a different aim. I like what you said. It's not me, it's him. And so my aim in, Christian meditation, which is not just letting go of all things into the universe, but it's actually focusing on the person and the work of Jesus and his love for me and my love for him. There's actually a transfer so that what I'm carrying doesn't just get, doesn't dissolve out into the world,
right.
but it actually gets carried
Whatever
by,
that means.
carried by somebody. And so, so relationship with Jesus, continuing to cultivate that relationship with Jesus.
So like you were going back to that, you had that practice of a prayer of surrender, more of a daily surrender.
Right.
We think sometimes it's okay just to do the one time.
Oh, true.
I've surrendered to Jesus. I think it's a daily surrender. I think he talks about this. I think we see it. Paul talking about it. I think that is something we have to remind ourselves because we are naturally wanting to pick back up control.
Yeah.
And so a daily prayer of surrender, a daily, liturgy where you are reminded of, first of all, this is who God is. I am not in control. I want to surrender to him and kind of releasing control.
Yeah.
Which is what we said, the opposite of what manufactured peace is.
That's true. Yep.
So that's good.
Yeah, I think it's just sitting here thinking about you saying all that. I think what we experience as we cultivate intimacy with Jesus is we experience a peace that starts deep inside and becomes realized in our lives through calmness, through joy, through having more of a carefree approach to life, not careless, but carefree approach to life. Whereas what the kind of the counterfeit attempts to manufacture peace, it's almost the opposite. It's like, focus on just your brain, focus on your body.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sink deep. And what happens through understanding through who Jesus is and what he came to do for us, it actually starts in the deep recesses. And we don't always feel it at first.
No,
and I think
that's what it is.
I think that's why so many people leave Christianity for something like Stoicism or just Buddhist mindfulness or control, or because they're promised on the front end, hey, you're going to, if you give your life to the Prince of Peace, you will experience peace. And sometimes after 1, 2, 5, 10, 15 years, life happens. It's hard. It's disappointing. It's like, this is like, where is the
what
peace?
I thought. Yes.
And so if you're not experiencing it, you're tempted to go what is almost like a shortcut and say, well, I'm going to just do this because this daily meditation on a quote about, the whatever futility of life, that gives me an immediate sense of peace that gets me through the day. And I'll take that over some promise that I'd never fully experienced. And so I think maybe what we could encourage people in is, if you're a follower of Jesus, if you're not currently experiencing the peace that he came to bring, to cultivate more intimacy with him, to like find space, even in this like busy Christmas season, to pray, to open up scriptures, to find, and not just assume because you, as you said earlier, just one-time surrender or pray to prayer at some point in your life that all of a sudden you're supposed to have peace and feel like you were misled.
Yeah,
because you don't. But to actually cultivate what Jesus came to bring.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think finding a daily practice that it's like almost like working out, right? You don't see the results immediately. I think it's over time. I also think we lose track of the long term of the Christian life, that it isn't about peace necessarily right here on earth. We sing those songs and we want that. We want it internally. We want it in our land. We want it, among people and relationships. But
that's true.
We're actually, that is not the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
That's not ultimately I mean, Jesus wants to bring that, and I think he gives us ways to go about that, but I think we have to remember there's a long game here.
Yeah.
And the difference between all those engineered, manufactured, other ways of bringing counterfeit peace, there's a lot of long-term end goal that actually brings full hope. We know that there is going to be a new heaven and a new earth, and that will bring ultimate peace.
Yeah.
And I think we forget about that in the temporary.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we will taste peace.
Yes.
This side of heaven, but it probably won't be our constant state. I mean, even Jesus's last conversation with his disciples, which he over and over again, John 14, 15, 16, he talks a lot about peace, peace and joy, my peace I give you. But he also, in that same conversation, says, in this life you will have trouble.
Yes, I was just thinking that passage.
But take heart, I've overcome the world. But it's kind of this
it's this tension we have to learn to live in.
Life's still going to be kind of hard.
Yeah, it's going to be hard still. So no matter what you do, I think that's what it is. All those counterfeit things we go after are temporary Band-Aids to something that Jesus wants to bring a long-term, hope-filled, beyond ourselves solution.
Yeah, I always think of Kiki, our Serbian pastor, who
I love him.
through laughter, at one point said, I think it's probably one of the most quoted things Kiki's ever said that we all talk about around here. You Americans are so funny. You think life is meant to be easy and you'll have occasional hard days, but we Serbians understand that life is hard and occasionally we have easy days.
I think actually that's most of the world.
It is most of the world, yeah. And so Jesus seems to endorse that line of thinking.
He does.
In that conversation with his
We don't
disciples.
like those parts of Scripture.
Yeah. But we
true.
can have that peace, and we can access that peace, like a deep peace, a lasting peace, an anchored peace that isn't just a calm in the moment. It
is real,
yeah.
And I think this season draws that out from the depths of who most of us are.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to lean into that longing.
Yeah.
And so what does that look like? It looks like maybe some daily, maybe you need to find something new. Maybe what you're doing in your personal walk with Jesus is kind of getting a little bit stale.
Yeah.
And so maybe I love Advent's great. There's so many great Advent readings and studies and devotionals. And maybe it can renew and speak into that core part of us that wants that peace. And then also, we're going to say it all the time. I think Sabbath is more the answer for a lot of things than we give it credit for.
Yeah.
Turns out the fact that it's a 10 commandment, God knew.
Yeah. He knew
it would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But one of them is finding peace in your life, stopping all the things for a full 24 hours. It's dreamy.
It is.
To us. And it's God's design.
Yeah. Jesus is our Sabbath rest. And I think when we take a Sabbath, it's a way of, in our weekly calendar, our weekly rhythm, being able to experience the things that Jesus came to bring.
Yes. Yeah. It's like the tangible expression of that.
Yeah. The taste of it. Yep.
Practical that we practice, that we step into that. So there are still things we can do to tap into that peace, to let the feeling we have at Christmas.
Yeah.
Find
it's true. Yeah. So hopefully those listening can be a peaceful season for you. And if life hasn't been peaceful up to this point, maybe this can be an opportunity for the Spirit of God to usher in deeper peace.
That's good.
So, yeah. It's great.
It is. Okay. So what is, mostly because we both have a Stories coffee cup in our hand. Yeah. What is your favorite holiday beverage? Hot drink? I guess it doesn't have to be a hot drink.
Yeah. Holiday beverage. Actually,
you stick to the same thing no matter what.
No, but so most of my life, eggnog has sounded gross to me. Just even the name of it.
Yeah, it is. It's different.
If there's gonna be an egg in it, don't tell us that.
Don't tell me I'm drinking eggs.
Yeah, think of a better name. So I've just never even had an interest in it. I think back to college. Were you the Hall Street party where they did eggnog drinking contest.
And where your floor broke that year?
No, but this was like no alcohol involved, but like vomiting eggnog. These two guys, you don't remember?
No, I was
Derek
not at that
and David
one. No.
having an eggnog drink just to see who could drink the most is what it was.
These are dumb college boy things.
Yes. And so all that to say, I've never been interested in eggnog. Ever,
especially after that.
Except for the last few years. I've gotten into it.
You have?
Yes.
I think someone turned you on to a good brand.
Good brand, Anderson Farms. Jake Adams told me about it. And we'll get like a half gallon, but that's about.
No, because you can't drink very much.
You can't.
It's so thick.
Yeah, but Hutch loves it.
He does.
He can't wait.
I mean, he wants to drink a little glass every night. So that would be your holiday drink?
I mean, it's one of the things I drink that's not what I would usually drink.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. What about you?
I was expecting you to say like a peppermint
Some kind of coffee drink or something.
Like
Yeah. I mean, peppermint mocha is always a good go-to, but I only do that once or twice.
Well, I'm not going to drink a coffee drink because I hate coffee.
Right.
So it has to be something tea, which very few people will do like a fun holiday tea drink. Mm-hmm. Every now and then Starbucks they'll do something with their chai. It's usually just gingerbread, which throws in extra ginger, blah, blah, blah. It's not as fun to me. But Stories just started this. It's called like wild berry. I'm going to mess it up.
Winterberries.
Winterberry.
Yeah.
Winterberry.
Summer, I think.
Mint tea. And it's like a tea latte. Yes.
Oh, so there is like.
So there's milk in it.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, tea people would know this. It's kind of like a London Fog, which is.
Oh, yeah. You love a London Fog.
I do love London Fog, which is like
it's
an Earl
twist
Grey.
on a London Fog.
Earl Grey tea with milk. Steamed milk. So this one is this like berry tea with steamed milk.
You know what they
and
should have
mint.
named it?
What?
Christmas in London.
Oh, that would have been cute. Okay, maybe you can give that suggestion to Brooke and Dan for next year.
It's good.
But this drink is my new favorite.
Nice.
I want it like every morning.
All right.
After
good for
Resist.
me to know. Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us on When We Walk. Hopefully you enjoyed this conversation, and we can't wait till next time.